The Bible is Bad, Part 1. In this series of monologues, I'm going to explain why I think the Holy Bible is bad. I'm going to apply common sense, rationality, the scientific process, with references to modern scientific evidence, and an appeal to conscience. And I'm going to specifically refer to passages in the Bible to support my argument that the Bible is bad. And my argument consists of two parts. The first part is that the Bible is not a good source of accurate knowledge about ourselves and the world. The second part is that the Bible is not a good source of moral values. And as I just said, I'm going to support these propositions using common sense, rationality, science, and an appeal to conscience. So have your Bible ready, because I'm going to refer to specific passages in the Bible to support my argument that the Bible's bad. So let's look at the Bible and how it's not a good source of accurate knowledge. And then I'll go on in part 2 to describe why the Bible is not a good source of moral values. Believers regard the Bible as divinely inspired. That is to say, it's perfect, complete, containing all the relevant information we need to know about ourselves and the world. Maintaining this irrational belief in the Bible has hindered mankind's intellectual progress. Why develop science when you have an unerring source of complete knowledge? If we all believed the Bible, we would still be living in the Bronze Age from whence the Bible came. The evidence of history is overwhelmingly exemplifying how religious belief has infringed on individual liberties and human rights, how religious beliefs have caused people to do to other people what common sense and instinct and rationality never would. Rationality is one of the most effective tools for defending the rights of the individual. Religious belief, fundamentally and independent of its content, works against rationality and inevitably leads to disaster, as history indicates. Consider Christianity. Consider the history of Christianity. Let's say it began with Jesus and his disciples, who evidently were exemplary Christians. But then in a couple centuries it leads to a political system that oppresses and murders thousands of people. How does that happen? Well, maintaining irrational beliefs at the expense of developing rationality is a primary cause. Belief in the Bible has promoted irrational beliefs at the expense of developing a rational understanding of ourselves and the world. Now, the Bible doesn't clearly differentiate between the literal and the figurative. Okay? Admittedly, the Bible isn't a scientific textbook. However, considering the proven success of the scientific method of describing reality, why isn't the Bible a scientific textbook? The obvious answer is because the Bible was produced by Bronze Age minds, rather than the architect of the universe. The Bible is not an owner's manual, because owner's manuals don't assert metaphors as literal facts. For example, consider the Bible story of the 7 days of creation. 7 days? Well, literally false, but presented in the Bible as literal facts. The creation story of the Bible is inaccurate and contains internal inconsistencies and contradictions. So consider the evidence of astrophysics. The universe is 13 billion years old. The Earth, well, about 4 billion years old. The size of the Earth relative to the rest of the universe, infinitesimal. Now consider the Bible story. According to the Bible, the universe was created in 7 days. The Bible presents our world as the central stage of creation, and mankind, the Jews in particular, as the central concern. Now, the Bible is geocentric and anthropocentric. The evidence of astrophysics is not. Now, if you look at the first 2 chapters of the Bible, in the book of Genesis, it gives the story of creation, and the 2 chapters are incoherent. They don't match. They contradict each other. Just to give you a brief survey of what these 2 chapters say, and you can look in the Bible for yourselves and see this. Day 1 is light and darkness, day and night. Day 2, a vault separating the waters that make the oceans and the sky. Day 3, the earth, followed by plants. Day 4, the sun, the moon, the stars, as timekeepers and navigational aids. Day 5, the animals. Day 6, humans, both sexes at the same time. Day 7, the day of rest. Note that there are days and evenings and mornings before the sun was created. Then, according to chapter 2 of Genesis, first God made earth and heaven. Then he placed Adam on an otherwise lifeless earth. Next, he made plants grow in Eden, including the trees of life and of knowledge of good and evil. Then he placed Adam in the garden. Then he created animals. And finally, he made Eve from Adam's rib. So Genesis 1 gives the order of creation as plants, animals, man, and woman. Genesis 2 gives it as man, plants, animals, woman. It's incoherent. And I know that there are official explanations, but just consider this is not a source of accurate knowledge. This is very questionable. The main point I want to make here is that believers in the Bible assert that the Genesis chapters 1 and 2 are the product of a single author composing a coherent narrative. It reads like separate compositions that were compiled at a later time without much regard for coherence. And then finally, and to be very brief, there are so many instances of irrationality in the Bible. Consider Noah gathering 2 of every creature into a wooden boat he constructed to survive the flood. It's impossible. Jonah surviving the belly of a big fish for 3 days. That's not possible. In the book of Job, there are references to pillars supporting heaven. That's inaccurate. Every miracle in the Bible that controverts the laws of physics. Extraordinary assertions require extraordinary evidence, and in the absence of evidence, be skeptical. When we believe in irrational things, even if those things seem rather innocent and innocuous at first, we establish a precedent for a kind of irrational credulity that history demonstrates inevitably leads to the infringement of individual rights. We go from an irrational belief like, things happen without cause or reason, to someone saying, the universe is an extension of my genitals and I want you all to try this great Kool-Aid I just made. Rationality can be a safeguard against insanity.